HMIs, we've already covered adding buttons. We've already covered basically adding just basic shapes to make outputs that we can change colors. All right, remember buttons, we had to come into properties, bring this window up, and we had to come in here to events. So on press, we created a set while keep rest, and then we also didn't have to set a release at this point. If you just use set bit, and then you'd have to use reset bit as well. And there's definitely a time for that. If you sometimes want to make something go true, but not make it go false right when you let go of it. So there is definitely a bit of a give and take here with what function you want to do when we press. All right. Remember, however, for the output, we didn't use an event. We actually used an animation. All right. So we just did an appearance. So whenever that value is at 0, it goes red. Whenever that value is green, it goes 1. Or whenever it's 1, it goes green. Reverse that. All right, now we're going to kind of move on to the next stage. All right, and we're going to have to come back up here to the PLC. So let's go to our program blocks. No, tags. Start with the tag table. All right, and we're going to do something we haven't done yet in this class. And I wish I could make this bigger for you guys. So, and I can't change the resolution because I'm sharing my whole screen. So, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create something that is not a Boolean data type. I know. Absolutely crazy. All we've done to this point is done Boolean data types, at least as far as you guys are concerned. All right. We have done a few other data types, but you guys haven't actually created them. The software created them for you. All right. When we ever did with a timer or a counter, it created it all for you. All right. Now, if you have your book, just so you guys know, now this is Alan Bradley-esque, what your book is talking about. But on page 68, which you're going to read chapter 3 at some point soon, probably before next class. But on page 68, there's a little table near the bottom, and it tells you the different data types and the different ranges that it can be. That's... Nope. Must have deleted this. All right, anyway. But on 68, it tells you that a Boolean is a bit, which is a single. And you guys might be able to see my monitor, so that's okay. Come on, let's focus. Yeah, I know. I have a whole second webcam set up for this, but it's a piece of junk. All right, Boolean is a 1-bit, so we can have a 0 or a 1. If we go to an SInt, you can see it's negative 128 to 127. If we go to an int, it's negative 32,768 to 32,767. A dint is 2 to the 31st, I think it said. Yeah, 2 to the negative 31st, 2 to the positive 31st, minus 1. And then a real is plus or minus 8.43 times 10 to the negative 37th, and to plus or minus 3.36 times 10 to the 38th. So lots and lots of range here is really what it comes down to, depending on the data type we got. So I am going to go ahead and create a new data type here. Now this is going to be for a counter. All right. So for that purpose, we're going to call this preset. And then we're kind of over here to our data types. All right, now if we click the little box, you guys can see, all right, if we click the little box, you can see all the different data types that we have access to. And there's a whole lot more here than we are ever going to get into in this class. All right, we have a Boolean, so that's single. We have a byte, which is 8 bits. We have a character, which I forget exactly how many that is. That also might be 8 or right around there. We have the date one that we use. Here's the dint, the dword. So we have double int, double word. We have just a normal int. We have an sint. There's the short. So for our purposes, an sint is all we're going to need. When I hit enter, you should see that it went red on me. All right. And that's because it doesn't like that address anymore. It's %m3.2. So this is saying that this is one very specific bit in the memory of the device, which it can't be. So once we go ahead and click on that, we can click the drop down arrow to save it. Now notice it still says M, but now it says operand type B. All right. So instead of being a bit, we're now at a whole Boolean or whatever this is. So and now it's saying what address. All right. We can't use 3 because we're already using 3 for things. All right. So I'm going to make this 10 just to make my life easy. And notice it kind of gave me that error right away again once I hit 10 and hit OK. That's because it was still erroring from earlier. So once I hit enter again, that error went away. All right, so something to kind of pay attention to. And then, so that's our preset, and then we're going to set our set point. No, our accumulated. That's what we'll go with, accumulated. and I still want that to be a sint. All right. So now let's go ahead back to our main code, or to the code for the first time today. Let it sync. Now this one I can blow up for you guys. All right. And we're going to come down to a new line. We're going to go ahead and copy our start button. And we're going to go ahead and put a counter in. I'm just going to go with a count up. Sorry, CTU. And, we're just going to call this counter. It's fine. Reset, we'll go ahead and make that the stop bit just for make our lives easier. Notice how we have our preset value and our counted value. All right, so I'm going to make this, and if we just hover over it, and you guys will have a hard time reading this probably, but it says int, word, or implicit data type conversion possible. All right, so basically it's saying it needs to be an int or word. Hopefully our sint will work. It does look like it's going to accept those. All right, so our preset value will be preset. And our counted value over here will be our accumulated. Now what data type is this one? Int word. This one will not work. All right, so we need to go back to our tag table. And we need to change accumulated from an sint to just a normal int. There it is. And now again, it's mad at me because I have the wrong data type. Now notice it says MW instead of MB. All right, and we'll leave that as 11. All right, now we can come back to main. And we can now go ahead and make this our accumulated. So, nothing too strange so far. Except instead of what we've normally done in the past, if we've specifically wrote what this is going to be, right, we'd just be like, oh, that's going to be a 10. All right. And then our CV, what we've used last semester, was we didn't use it at all, right? We just left it completely blank. All right. However, by filling those in like we did, we can actually come to our HMI over here, and we can come to our elements over on the right-hand side, and we have this IO field. And if we come down here to the properties of it, and there we go. Under general, we have a place for a tag. All right. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go down to my PLC, and we're going to call this one accumulated. And to make my life easier, I'm going to come up here and just get some basic text and go with AC, just to make our life simple. So we know that one's AC. Go ahead and copy and paste that. And this will be our PV. And then we're going to change this one to, oh, this one won't let me use an SN either, huh? All right, I guess I got to go make both of those SNs, or normal ints, sorry. Yeah, default tag table. Int. Now, I believe I can't use M10 here now, all right? And the reason for that is, this int, I believe, is 2 bytes wide. I believe that's 16. All right, and int is, should be 16. All right, and the reason I know that is if I bring up a calculator. Really? I've got a calculator open, but I can't see it. There we go. It's behind my Zoom window. If I do 2 to the 16th power here, get out a bit better. 2 to the 16th, I get my 65,000. All right. Now, if you would actually look in the book at that int, it says 2 byte. All right. So that does actually tell us it's 16. But it also says negative 32,000 to positive 32,000. Now, my question for you is, if that's saying only plus or minus 32,768, why is this saying 65,536?
Because that doesn't count 0.
Right, but this is saying only can go up to 32,000 and only down to negative 32,000, yet this is saying 65.
Oh, because it's split it in half
Excellent.
to have negatives.
Excellent. It's split it in half, so that way we can go both from negative 32,000 to positive 32,000. So this 65 is actually, double whatever the range is, so that way, because we can get both positive and negative. So that is a very key point here. All right, so that is just something that we do need to keep in the back of our mind. But because this is too wide, I'm pretty sure this is going to overlap with that. So we're going to go ahead and make this one 12 instead of 11 for good measure here. All right, now let's go ahead back to our HMI. Let's go ahead and change this from accumulated. It's still only letting me accept accumulated. All right, let's go up here to our tag table and let's go oh, there's my preset. Go ahead and grab preset. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and just download both of these. So right click, start simulation. Give that a minute. So what this is actually going to allow us to do is see those counts in near real time on the HMI screen, which will be really nice. All right, and this is also going to give us one thing better than that. All right, I guess actually there's one other thing I want to do in the HMI. Once my computer catches up with me. You gotta love these simulations starting. All right, so we're gonna put this basic shape in, and we're going to give it an animation, display, add a new animation. We're gonna go with appearance, and we're gonna make this this button, and it's probably not. I'm gonna do it from up here. I can. Okay, Q. Cool. Q count up done. Go. Add that to it. 0 and 1. And let's just go ahead and make this green. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and start the HMI simulation. Hopefully that starts a little bit faster. All right, so notice we're already green, right? And if we come back to our main code up here and we actually turn our sunglasses on, we're only really watching this one rung here. Our output is green, right? And you will notice that I haven't hit start yet. Our counter value is 0. All right, our preset value is 0 and our accumulated is 0. So right now we've already hit that count, which is why in our HMI screen we are at what we want to be at. And I gotta toggle this. I need to be able to toggle things. There we go, let's toggle start. So start now toggled to 1. If we come to our HMI, we can see that our accumulated value here is 1. So every time that I toggle this, you can see that we're counting up and the HMI is updating. Now do remember that this is only updating like once a second. So if I were to toggle these really quick, we can see it's jumping. It's kind of slow. It's a little laggy every once in a while. All right, so we're already at 11. Now, the benefit to these screens is right now these are both set to read and write. So I actually can click on like the preset value and I could say make that 20. And if I hit enter, notice our green went away. And if we come back to our program, now all of a sudden our preset value is set to 20. So you can actually update your counter values on the fly from an HMI screen. All right, you could do it in the code too with buttons. All right, you could have one counter that sets the value for this. So every time you press like the up or down button, you could increase this value based on another counter, which would be perfectly fine. But it's kind of nice to be able to just do it right from the HMI screen. Now we should also be able to set, let's see if this works. That doesn't look like it did work. Nope, and we're back to 11. So we can't actually change this one. It's a little bit misleading, right? I can click on it, I can type 5 in, doesn't stick. All right, so that's not an ideal world. So if we come back to our HMI root screen here, our accumulated, again, if we go to properties, give me the properties for it. All right, let's bring this up a little bit higher. We're back to general. All right, down here it says type. Instead of input output, we just want this to be an output. All right, and that keeps us from being able to accidentally change it when we download it. So once we update our HMI here, open it again. Now you notice I can't click on that no matter how much I want to. All right, which is really something that you do want to do. You don't want to have fields that can't be changed on the HMI screen because someone may click on it, think, oh, I can, yeah, we had one failure. I can come in here, I can just change this to 5 instead of be 6, and we'll be good to go, and it'll count right. You don't want to give them those options, right? We want to make things as nice and simple as possible for us. And not just for us, but people using this system as well. All right, and you'll see as we approach those two values, 19, 20, and our green light turns on. All right, so those nice little input fields over here. What do we call it again? The I/O field. Really kind of nice and convenient. You do have some other options. We got some symbolic drop-down menus. We got graphics. We got count date time fields. I really like the little toggle switch here that you could use, so you could actually have an on-off. You could just click the button. We have a bar graph type of thing, so we could see how full something is. Go ahead and look at the process for this. So this bar graph, we'll just go with our accumulated value again. Our max value here, we'll just say is 20. All right, and our min value is, actually make this 30. Let's give us a little bit of breathing room. All right, so we can go ahead and start simulation on that again. All right, so as you can see, that little bar graph is gonna work. Move up. I reset us back down to 0. So that's kind of a nice little one, especially if you have some like water tanks or things like that filling. So, lots of options when it comes to these things, which is both good and horrible all at the same time, because the more options, obviously, the bigger the complexity of the things can get. So that is something that I want you guys to kind of see. So we can do these nice little input-output fields. All right, remember those are I/O fields. All right, and they do allow us to change things on the fly as long as we configure them correctly. All right.
Is this the time when you'd like want multiple screens? Like say you had other things you were monitoring, like one would be for pressure and maybe have that bar graph thing, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. I do actually have a second screen set up on this. I have a screen 0, which I haven't really used. I know there's a way to set up multiple screens. I've never done it, truthfully. It's probably just a normal button. Go ahead and throw another button in here. Bringing my pop properties back up. Not key that I want. Here we go, screens, activate screen. And then I could come down here and say screen 0. Let's go ahead and cut this off of. Can't cut it, but I can copy it. That's kind of annoying. Go ahead and take this one back and put it over here. Change the properties of this so we can go back to our root screen. There we go. So now if we go ahead and download this, so now if I click on this button, it takes me to a screen with just that on there. But yes, this would be a great time for that. So, or again, one machine versus another. If you have multiple conveyor lines that you need one captain station from, type of thing. If you have a control center and all you have in there is HMIs, maybe you have one that has 3 different assembly lines on it, and you have 3 different buttons that takes you from assembly line 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 type of thing. So yeah, lots of options when it comes down to it. Oh, there's a back button up here. Oh, I didn't even have to do it. It automatically made a button for me. So, and then you can see how that on-off works. You can just click away at it. And you can change these from on-off to jog, auto, we can go back to the root screen. You can change the text on these. There we go, text, and then you have on-off. So, you could just make this like auto. This one, and you will. The biggest issue I have with changing the text is you always have to make these things extremely wide so it can accommodate both, which I find to be kind of annoying. The manual could be big and the auto could be a lot smaller, but there's nothing that we can do for that. So yeah, so that's kind of our a quick look at the I/O fields under elements for HMIs that allow us to kind of get some more meaningful data, not just is something on or off, but we could actually get a value for it. So you could see how many bottles have passed by this point, or How many things have we discarded because they haven't met our quality control or whatever the case is? Or maybe you have your uptime running on this. So, time since last system pause or something along those lines. So, really kind of a nice capability. Also nice to be able to jump from one screen to the next type of thing. So, all right.